but what a thrill. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
What's up and what's good, everybody?
That's gimmick infringement.
Hey, if the gimmick's that good, give it up. Props to Jack Patterson. I'm Joey Ripley. This is Inside the 20 by 20. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a crazy week. Both
and getting crazier.
Both in wrestling and in our work lives. So.
That's right. Yeah, more of that coming soon. But Jack, I mean, we're here to talk Great Balls of Fire. We can say the name. I feel like it has a certain connotation. But now that it's over,
I can say it now because it's not just reflecting off of a song that is 20 times older than we are, seemingly. It's now a pretty respectable pay-per-view.
Agreed. And we were saying the card alone would really up the level of this pay-per-view. Raw had a kind of easy, follow-up after, let's face it, a lackluster Money in the Bank pay-per-view by SmackDown.
And the only lackluster pay-per-view that SmackDown has put on to date.
And, hey, we said it, Raw delivered.
Yeah, Raw delivered with this pay-per-view. It was a great pay-per-view pretty much from the bottom up.
Let's do it. Let's talk about it. So, first off, our predictions, let's not mention those.
Actually, because we were smart and picked heels, we were actually pretty good. Let's start with the pre-show match, the Cruiserweight Championship match between the King of the Cruiserweights, Neville, going against Akira Tozawa. And while Tozawa, they didn't bury him like I thought they would.
No.
Which is
in fact quite the opposite, because Tozawa might be Neville's best challenge. I know they say that, and I know Austin Aries appeared to be Neville's successor as Cruiserweight champion, but
that obviously
Tozawa's got all the tools. If you were doubting us, go back, look up Akira Tozawa versus Brian Kendrick in a last man standing match.
Yeah, he is a legitimately good worker.
Mm-hmm.
And it was on the showcase. With that being said, I told you, I said this in the predictions.
Yeah.
I stick with it. I love Akira Tozawa. I love the character development they're doing. Neville's not losing.
Neville's not losing yet. I think Tozawa is the guy to dethrone the King of the Cruiserweights. But Jack, this match, in my opinion, was way too short. I see them maybe having a bigger stage to set this championship match on, and maybe a little bit more time to really showcase, what these guys have to offer.
I hope that happens. Whether that happens, kind of iffy at this point, because you think about it, the next time Raw will be on pay-per-view will be SummerSlam.
That's right.
And while that SummerSlam is a bigger pay-per-view because all the big fours start at 7 o'clock.
That's right. It'll have the extra hour.
You gotta
plus the pre-show.
Yeah, you also got to understand that you got SmackDown that's going to be at SummerSlam too.
That's right.
So I don't really know if they're going to get the time they need to tell a great story. And that's a shame.
Well, yeah, it really is. And 205 Live it falls upon that show really to build the characters, as you said, Jack, and build the storyline so that Tozawa and Neville have a proper platform to really, give these people a match they need. Not just want, but really need to showcase that Cruiserweight division.
Exactly. The Cruiserweight division desperately needs it. And it's not because there's a lack of talented workers.
No.
It's because it's a lack of direction.
Lack of direction, really a lack of marketing.
Yeah. True.
It's not really an indictment on WWE because, they have this show, 205 Live. They've done so much for their Cruiserweight division, but
still, at the same time, there's things that WWE can do that can make it better. I saw this, and this coincides, for those of you who don't know, WWE is taking Talking Smack off of a regular basis. It's now going to be only at the SmackDown pay-per-views. I wonder what they do for dual brand pay-per-views, but that's another thing.
I don't know.
With that being said,
that might deserve its own show.
205 Live shouldn't be on after SmackDown. Like, if WWE was really smart, 205 Live would come on either before or after NXT on Wednesdays.
I could see that. It'd be a great lead out of NXT, I think.
Because NXT comes on at what, 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock?
So 205, put 205 Live on at 9.
Agreed.
Because number one, you're not overkilling with people with wrestling on Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, that allows you to tape 205 Live before SmackDown.
Yep.
Because, and we saw this when we were in Atlanta for SmackDown. Once SmackDown ended, especially after the way they screwed AJ Styles,
people clear out of that building.
like over half the crowd was gone.
Like, there was reported lice in there. Like, people are out. And those are the same people driving home not able to watch
205 Live.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I think it would do that show a huge favor if they moved it to Wednesday nights instead of moving it. Because, you're going to not only get the people who watch NXT,
right.
You're going to get the people who are at SmackDown, who've seen it, or, I just think it's a better fit.
Agreed. And then you move Talking Smack right after SmackDown. People can watch it on your phone. It's shorter form. So there you go.
You can just listen to it.
That was the pre-show. The Cruiserweight.
Oh, by the way, Neville won.
Yeah, Neville won and retained the Cruiserweight Championship. Jack, one of the best pay-per-views of the year, in my opinion, Great Balls of Fire, because of the kickoff match. Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt in a feud that I'm still trying to figure out, but I like the idea of pairing these two together.
I'm glad you like it because it's not going to last. We'll get to it. I was stunned that this was the kickoff match.
Really?
I did not think this was going to be the kickoff match.
For me, Jack, I think that they had to come out in a big way. I could see, we were talking about Enzo and Cass kind of being that match that could have flip-flopped the Cruiserweight match, and we were thinking possibly that would kick off the show, but I think this was amazing. The two had time to work. One of the best matches of this pay-per-view, unfortunately, was overshadowed by a couple of other developments in this same show. We'll get to that later, but Jack, I love how they booked this match. I mean, Bray Wyatt wins in heel fashion.
Yes, and going back to what you said about time, this is a 12-minute match.
Yeah.
Like, that's, for this kind of a match, that's unheard of.
No.
These days, anyway.
Yeah. Two guys who really came up through the ranks of, FCW, rebranded NXT, now get their own platform in WWE. I mean, book these guys for months because they're two who will get the best out of each other. They're great on the mic. Their talent is limitless, and they're two guys who will work. Nothing is going to get stale. I was talking to a guy the other day, Jack, who was wondering how Husky Harris became a WWE champion and is now one of the main players on Monday Night Raw. That is a testament not only to WWE, but mainly to Bray Wyatt.
Exactly. Huge.
So, I like that match.
I do. Like you said, Bray Wyatt won in heel fashion. And, normally, I'm a huge Seth Rollins guy. But for the love of God, Bray Wyatt won a pay-per-view match.
Yeah, and I think, we were all kind of confused because we thought they were trying to build him up for the video game. Plenty of time to do that, but tonight wasn't Rollins' night. He didn't need the pay-per-view win.
No,
Bray Wyatt definitely
needed it in the worst way. Speaking of matches that we were talking about, Big Cass and Enzo
Putting
Amore.
people in the worst way.
Oh, God.
I don't think we expected the beat down.
I kind of did.
That was to come immediately right off the bat. Enzo didn't get in any offense.
I kind of expected that.
Enzo and Big Cass, former best friends, former tag team that came up through the ranks of NXT, got called up, wildly popular. If you don't know, just look at all the merchandise they've sold on WWE.
Still selling.
Still selling. You got a couple haters right here. But
What? I'm a couple of haters.
They're broken up, man.
I thought you were pointing at me.
Us. We're a couple of haters. Are we certified G's?
And Bonafide studs, and you can't teach that.
Anyway. I thought the turn came a little too soon for Big Cass. Personally, I think that him and Enzo could have had another run at the titles.
I kind of agree with you But the problem is, especially with that tag team division, what were they gonna do?
I'm sorry, I didn't interrupt. Teresa is here. She's looking for the keys.
It's in her chair.
In her chair?
Yeah,
Okay.
car 2.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man.
You're good.
And that was Hurricane Chris. But
so, I thought the turn came a little too soon. My deal was, Jack, they could have milked this build up. Man, I didn't see any NXT footage in the prepackaged promo for this match. I mean, these two guys, if not for each other, they wouldn't even be here right now.
no, completely agree, because Enzo was the mouth and Cass was the power.
That's right.
Like I said, I agree with you that they could have had another run at the titles, but within that tag team division, I just don't know what they would have done in the meantime.
And Monday Night Raw was...
Because we already got tag teams we're not using. We're not using the Club. We're not using the Revival, Yet. But still, that division is kind of stacked at that point.
Sure.
And I mean, at the time of the turn, we still had the Golden Truth, too.
That's true. And... Jack, now that I think about it, Raw doesn't really have a strong mid-card. Not as, as really sturdy as SmackDown's.
Exactly.
I mean, you think of Raw tag teams, and they're starting to get on the up and up. But as far as singles, mid-card wrestlers, few and far between.
I mean, you're absolutely right, because it's the main event, it's the tag team division, it's the women's division. There's not really a mid-card.
Even the cruiserweights, I feel, are getting more love than the mid-card.
And you're right, because I go down and look at this card. With the exception of the Intercontinental Championship match, there's no mid-card match on here.
We're gonna get to the storylines after this pay-per-view.
Yeah. By the way, Big Cass practically
It's
almost
a squash.
Yeah, it's a literal squash match on a pay-per-view.
Poor Enzo. I don't think we've heard from him in 9 days
and counting.
There's also someone else we haven't heard from in 9 days. We'll get to that. But I was glad to see Eddie out there, the otherwise known as the Drake ref.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they've called him up permanently, but hey, congrats.
That's nice. Going on to the next match, and in my opinion, the match of the night.
It stole the show.
It stole the show. It's the 30-minute Iron Man match, the first ever tag team Iron Man match between Sheamus and Cesaro and the Hardy Boys. The first word that comes to mind when I watch this match is stiff.
Yeah, stiff, raw, pardon the pun.
Physical.
Yeah, but Jack, this was me before Great Balls of Fire thinking about the Raw Tag Team division.
And
this is me afterward and during, because this 30-minute Iron Man match, I know we're talking about it, the WWE kind of overdoes the stipulation now.
Yeah. But
I take back everything I said.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we know Sheamus and Cesaro are there for the long haul. I didn't know the Hardys could stand up to 30 minutes of pure physicality.
This was exactly a true test of... And let me start by saying this. There was no doubt in my mind that the Hardys can still go. Okay? But the level they went to with two of the most physical wrestlers that WWE has on their roster, and to go toe-to-toe with them. And the best thing I love about this is this wasn't just no 1-0 Iron Man match or anything like that.
No.
This was intense. It was chaotic.
Kept you glued to the screen, kept you on your toes.
Yes.
The falls were unique.
The falls were definitely unique. The false finishes were great. Like, just all in all, just a great match.
Of course, in my opinion, this was a must-win for the Hardys.
Oh, had to be.
It had to be. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. They were, 1 second?
1 second.
Short.
I love those finishes. I love them.
From tying up the odd, the count there. But unfortunately, they fell short. Great booking. I mean,
phenomenal booking.
The Hardys still look like they can challenge any team in that division.
Yes.
But as I said, this was a must-win for them. It kind of looks like they're taking a back seat in the title picture.
And the question is who comes up. We'll talk about that.
That's right. But a good 3-month run from their return to WrestleMania.
Yes, and it's still going. I still think they'll be relevant. How will they be? We'll talk about it. Next up, the Raw Women's Championship between Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss.
This was more about the storyline rather than the match. I think this was, we all saw this as really a bridge to SummerSlam.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Like, this is far from being over. I just think they needed to have something in place to get them on the road to SummerSlam.
Now, we can really see the differences, I think, between SmackDown and Raw. Raw is going to be your more traditional one-on-one, and then we'll see kind of the group play out on the weekly shows. SmackDown will showcase all of their women, whether it be a gauntlet match or whether it's a fatal 4 or 5-way Money in the Bank match,
elimination matches,
tag team matches, and Raw will do that for their men's division, but for the women, it's usually one versus one.
Yeah, occasionally might be a triple threat.
Yeah.
Or a fatal 4-way.
Match was a little lackluster. That's fine. I understand. But Alexa Bliss looked fantastic in this match.
So, two things that stand out to me in this match was the contortion of these women's bodies. Like, Alexa Bliss, and we've seen this before out of Alexa Bliss, but the human arm is not supposed to bend at an angle like that.
I was trying to forget that, really just render that obsolete out of my mind.
Like, the human anatomy is not supposed to bend that way. And then Sasha Banks saying, I got to one-up you, sweetheart. Like, I feel like Sasha is seriously hurt sometimes when I watch her matches. Just the bump she takes. Like, I'm like,
are you kidding me?
How is she not injured? And I thank the good Lord she's not.
Right.
But, like, how is she not injured? Like, that stuff scares the daylights out of me.
I'm still shuddering.
Like, seriously.
Goodness. But Destroyer by Bliss was probably my favorite spot in this match in the corner. Bliss, of course, wins by countout. Not surprising.
Yeah, just continuing the feud. The feud goes to SummerSlam.
And Sasha still looks strong. I mean, I know she took a back seat earlier this year after her feud with Charlotte ended, but I mean, this is a division that is kind of top heavy.
It is, because you have your stars. You have Bliss, Banks, Bayley, Jax.
Jack's kind of getting more prominent in there, but
outside of that, I mean, you don't
especially after Bayley losing.
Yeah, you don't hear from Mickie James. You don't hear from Dana Brooke. You don't hear from Emma.
Mm-hmm.
So I see where you're going with that.
Sure. As far as post-match, this is where it got a little dicey because Sasha Banks was not pleased with that count-out victory, count-out loss in her corner. But so what did she do, Jack? She attacked Alexa Bliss from behind and set up the perfect storyline for SummerSlam. We saw Banks leap from the announce table and batter Bliss with a crossbody. I mean, this is stuff that we saw with Asuka and Nikki Cross. But Sasha Banks is not afraid to throw some punches and throw down when it comes down to her championship.
You think Falls Count Anywhere match might be in the cards for SummerSlam?
I'm in. Deal me in. So, great match.
You're going to have to do something to top whatever NXT decides to do.
A great match in store, I think, Jack, for Bliss Banks at SummerSlam. I'm rooting for Sasha, I think, I think Bliss has had a great run as champion, but I think it's time for other women to shine in that division.
Yeah, because truthfully, Sasha has never had a good run with the title. Like, all her title reigns have been short.
Right. And they were overshadowed by
Charlotte.
Woo! But you get her in Bliss and then have Sasha make a great run. We could be talking,
The match they should have at WrestleMania 34, which is Bayley versus Sasha.
Speaking of WrestleMania,
Yeah,
just wanted to point out Jack's shirt here.
WrestleMania 33.
We were there.
We were there. Let's get to the next match on the card.
Let's do it.
Intercontinental Championship, Miz with Maurice in the Miztourage against Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah. I don't think any bear suit grandfather clock in the world could have saved this match.
No.
I think this was the bathroom match.
It was
Call it what it is.
I mean, let's just be real. I said this from the get-go. This match has been done way too many times. I love the addition of the Miztourage, and I think it's going to be great for whatever the Miz does next.
Agreed.
But Miz and Dean Ambrose do not need to see each other for basically about a year at this point.
A very long time, because yes, the two work well together, but boy, is it boring.
Like, it's done. It's been done. When we first started.
How many ways can they beat each other?
Yeah, when we first started doing this, it was great. I loved it. I loved the pairing of those two together. But now we've been doing this for what, almost a year, for basically the entire year. Like, it's time. It's time. Like, it is time.
And what you're gonna get, you mentioned the Miztourage. They're going to put Miz over. Not that he needs to be, but the Miz is going to instantly make them better. He already has Maurice.
Mm-hmm.
Let the Miz work with some of your mid-card guys, your younger guys.
Like, I said it when we did the prediction show. Heath Slater, please. Make it happen.
Slater.
That match today.
Finn Balor seems to be on the back burner, but imagine him having the Intercontinental title. Miz, actually, they have a little beef there in that triple threat. You remember that?
Yes, I remember that. But like I said, truthfully, the match that Heath Slater had with The Miz was really good. A lot better than I ever thought it would be. So, give the man a chance.
Agreed. I mean,
he's got kids.
what happens to Rhino? You running for office again?
Yeah, it's about that time. 2018 elections aren't that far away.
In politics, you're always on the clock, as they say.
Exactly.
So,
give the man a chance.
Sure.
And like I said, this match, nothing to write home about. It wasn't. It's a decent match, but
yeah,
Miz wins. Not a shocker.
And at this point, we're done wasting time. Hopefully.
Yes. Please.
Can we be done?
No more Miz Ambrose for a long time, please.
After this match,
You thought this match was going to be the main event.
I did, and it should have been the main event. But as JR would say, good old Jim Ross, business would pick up.
I'll take another JR line. This was a slobber knocker.
Slobber knocker. The ambulance match, highly touted, heavily produced and promoted. This was the match that I believe this pay-per-view was built around.
Kind of, sort of, between that and the main event.
How
Braun
long
Strowman and Roman Reigns, man.
How long have Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns been trying to tear each other limb from limb?
Since not Payback. Didn't they fight at Fastlane?
At Fastlane in what,
February?
February?
No, it was in March. It was in early March.
Since before WrestleMania,
exactly.
These two have been trying to kill each other, and in the process,
nearly succeeding.
Have hurt barricades, have hurt ambulances,
have destroyed arenas around the country.
Much to the cheering WWE universe. Something is probably wrong with that, but
we're a sadistic bunch, Joey.
But boy, yeah, I think this should have been the main event, Jack, because you have two larger than life, literally, superstars.
One of them, anyway.
In a match that you don't have every month, right?
No, this is the first ambulance match since 2013. So
this was really I think a must-win for Roman Reigns. I thought the ball was in his court going into the match. I think he had gotten jabs into Roman Reigns here and there, into Strowman, here and there, but boy, they booked Strowman like a monster, like the monster among men that he is.
This match thoroughly surprised me. They legitimately just beat the hell out of each other for 16 minutes.
They really did. And, the match was so good. you really couldn't tell who
Was gonna win.
was going to win. I mean, yes, we saw the spots that we thought we would.
Yeah.
But I don't think I saw Braun Strowman being hit with a chair and him not even flinching,
He
reacting.
twice.
This is Roman Reigns, a 265-pound man.
A former NCAA football player. You know, like, Joker is not a slouch by any stretch of the imagination. Like, and he's got a steel chair, and he is hitting you with everything he's got, and the man is not flinching.
Then you have Braun Strowman. What is he? 6'10"?
Yeah,
A good 300 pounds.
weighs more than me.
You take him and crash him into the LED ramp. The set.
I haven't seen a spot like that in forever.
Rip that set.
I mean, legit ripped a hole through the set. Like, I mean, good lord.
Oh, wow.
And then Braun's moving after this.
He gets up under his own power.
And he's still fighting. This match, I swear. Like, Braun Strowman, I'm starting to think more and more, and we'll get to the rest, but more and more, the man is just not human.
He's indestructible at this point. We'll get to that, but Roman Reigns, I thought he had the match won.
He did have the match won, I admit, and then he goes for the spear and whiffs. Braun Strowman moves out the way.
Yeah, I mean, for all the praise we give Strowman about how strong he is, about how brutal he is, man has brains.
Exactly. He Reigns misses a spear and goes into the wide open ambulance doors. And Braun closes the doors, wins the match. But the match was far from over. Well, I should say the fight.
Match was over,
But the fight was just getting started.
Oh my gosh, Jack, this was probably the pinnacle, the height of Great Balls of Fire. Mm-hmm. You have Roman Reigns get out of the ambulance, not just get out.
He snapped.
He speared Braun Strowman. He puts him in the back of the ambulance.
After ramming the door into him about a dozen times.
And then Roman Reigns, yeah. I don't think there's another word for it, Jack. Roman Reigns snapped.
Like, he basically just went clean off the deep end.
He went Wild Samoan on Braun Strowman.
No, that's an insult to the Wild Samoans. He just went straight off. He gets into the ambulance. He takes
the guy out.
He throws the guys out, throws the driver out, gets into the ambulance, drives it to the back, and then a la the Hulk Hogan and the NWO, he didn't run something into the ambulance. He puts the ambulance in reverse and runs it into runs it into the 18-wheeler. And like half the ambulance just practically disintegrates.
Crunched like a soda can.
And like, you know, and typical a la, you know, you seen these backstage segments, Hulk Hogan, the NWO, taking a 18-wheeler into The Rock, who's in the ambulance. Shane McMahon, who lured Kane into the limo and made the throttle hung and shot him straight into an ambulance.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You got all the weird camera shots. You got all these different things. I mean, and Kurt Angle comes out. Jamie Noble tries to come out.
There was somebody else, I couldn't make him out on screen, but
I have to go back
Joey
and watch
Mercury, but
I have to go back and watch it. But
Jamie Noble is telling EMS officials how to do their job.
Yeah,
like this was pretty serious. I mean, you know, we didn't hear the announcers at all. Apparently, there was another match going on.
Yes, here's the craziest thing I've ever seen. So, while all this mayhem is going on backstage, they decided to have this match that wasn't promoted, and it's Heath Slater versus Kurt Hawkins. And to tell you what they thought of this match,
I don't even think we even saw. We saw the entrances.
We saw the entrances. Then the match started in a double box, which, for those of you who don't know what a double box is when you have one video in one box, one video in another box. And then we didn't even see the end of the match.
Which apparently lasted about 2 minutes.
Yeah. And apparently, according to Kurt Hawkins' Twitter feed, Heath Slater did a Canadian Destroyer off the top rope for the win.
I believe it.
I believe it.
Anyway, the crowd, I don't even think was paying attention. The ones in American Airlines Center, because they were glued to the other picture in that double box, which was Braun Strowman being rammed into an 18-wheeler while inside of an ambulance.
And then they use a Jaws of Life, which I've only seen used in WWE twice, and once was the Shane McMahon Kane incident.
Oh my gosh!
And then this was the second time. They use a Jaws of Life, finally get the ambulance door open,
and guess who spills out?
And Braun Strowman busted open. In all,
he's a mess of a man.
He's a mess of a man, but the son of a gun is walking.
He is crawling, moving, doing whatever he can. This is the type of deal, Jack, that takes people out, that puts people in comas, that hospitalizes people, paralyzes people. Braun Strowman is crawling.
He's not crawling. He's walking.
He gets up under his own power.
Like any kind of other accident,
refusing medical attention.
He's walking. That is beyond mental.
So, right before he got out of the ambulance, Roman Reigns walks away. Kurt Angle, like you said, Jamie Noble's still there. But Braun Strowman walks off somewhere. Mm-hmm. Who knows where he is at this point? I tell you one thing, they're not done.
Oh, not by a long shot.
You thought this was the end?
No chance.
Goodness. Unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately, Great Balls of Fire had one more match.
Yeah, we were. I don't know about you. I was kind of spent after that.
I think we were all spent, but no one else could have followed Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman other than Brock Lesnar
and Samoa Joe.
That's right. And these two just about tore each other apart.
I was gonna say, yeah, they beat the hell out of each other too.
I thought Samoa Joe, Jack, had one of his best showings.
Oh yeah.
It's unfortunate how the ending happened, but hey, Samoa Joe can stand toe to toe with Brock Lesnar.
Yes,
we know that now.
Yes, we know Samoa Joe is a main event player now.
Yeah, and I mean, those who have followed him throughout his wrestling career
already know that. But for the casual fan who never heard Samoa Joe until he arrived in NXT, like, they know this now. They have to know it. Samoa Joe
his arsenal is unlimited. His stamina is unlimited, seemingly, and just the chemistry he has with a Brock Lesnar who barely comes in and fights.
Yeah,
I mean, hey, I'm pretty sure Brock Lesnar probably didn't know some of the, taxing measures Joe would take him to.
Yeah, the only problem I had with this match is that Joe went down with one F5.
One F5, yeah, I agree. I think my other qualm with this match, Joe went dirty, gave a low blow to Lesnar, and still didn't win.
Yeah.
You're going to go through all that. You're going to give him one F5, and that's it?
Yeah, it just didn't seem right. Yeah. That match could have easily went on another 5 minutes.
Felt rushed. And I think people were kind of still in that frame of mind from the last match and from post-match. This match, I mean, they could have fought for 2 minutes. They could have fought for 20 minutes. When you ask people what did they think of Great Balls of Fire?
The ambulance match.
The ambulance match. And I think they probably realized that. It's a shame because that would be a main event at WrestleMania.
Yeah. And I get the feeling that they're not going to put Joe in the main event for SummerSlam, and that's terrible.
Speaking of the main event at SummerSlam, let's start with that match. I mean, the fallout from Great Balls of Fire, it is going to be Samoa Joe versus Roman Reigns. The winner will be the number one contender to face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. You like how they did it?
It was inevitable, but I don't see things going down clean in this match. I think Braun Strowman gets involved at some point.
Could we be seeing a fatal four-way?
Could be a fatal
At
4-way.
SummerSlam.
It could be Joe Lesnar too, and then Braun and Roman finish off their feud in
At SummerSlam.
something more barbaric in an ambulance match. And I'm starting to run out of ideas on what kind of match to put
No
in.
holds barred.
No holds barred.
Falls count anywhere.
Last man standing.
I quit.
I quit. First blood. I don't know.
Yeah, good luck bringing that back. I couldn't even bring back Bad Blood. Steel Cage.
No, they'll just crash through it.
They'll bring the whole cage down.
Like at that point, we're starting to risk the life and limb of the audience who's sitting in the first couple of rows. So,
Yeah, splash zone, crash zone.
yeah, I don't know what kind of match you could put these two in, because you got to put them in something where they're just beat the holy hell out of each other,
I think Jack Raw is back where it needs to be.
and it's about
It is.
time.
It is must see television right now, and it couldn't have happened at a better time too.
Yeah, going into your second biggest pay-per-view of the year.
That's right. So looking forward to that. We're gonna bring you some more reaction before SummerSlam, but I like what they're doing with the title picture, keeping all those guys in there. I like your hunch that Braun Strowman comes out of who knows where and interrupts that match.
Only a matter of time. Let's just run down a couple other quick things. Kurt Angle's secret lover is going to be revealed on Raw.
We all predict it's Dixie Carter.
I think it's Dixie Carter because she just did the WWE 24 thing with Kurt Angle. Dixie Carter is going to make her WWE debut. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, and we're going to see how they run with this because, as we know, Kurt Angle doesn't present the most conventional live segments. But we'll see how this goes. I think a lot of people were saying that him and Triple H could get a premiere match somewhere down the road.
I wouldn't have a problem with that. Other things, we already talked about the women, what we think of the women's division.
Yeah.
Intercontinental Championship, anybody but Dean Ambrose.
Finn Balor, Elias Sand, somebody.
Anybody. With that being said, Cruiserweight Championship, you think Tozawa is going to be the one to beat Neville?
I think so.
I think it'll be Cedric Alexander. I still think it might be at either SummerSlam. Sometime in between SummerSlam and Survivor Series,
Sure.
Cedric Alexander will be the one to knock him off.
Sure. Still haven't heard from Braun Strowman. We might hear from him tomorrow.
Almost certainly will.
Seth Rollins and Bray Wyatt seems like their feud is... They're adding more fuel to that feud, which is what should have happened.
I don't know because I've heard
before.
rumblings that it might be Finn reuniting his feud with Bray. So I don't really know about that.
And where does that leave Seth Rollins?
That's
So
I don't know, fighting Samoa Joe again.
I'm good with that.
I mean, I don't know. Anyway, so a lot is going to be determined on this coming up Raw, and it's going to be kind of the where do we go from here going towards SummerSlam.
Yep.
From here.
And this is where you pick up the momentum to last through the rest of the year.
Yeah.
These next couple weeks are crucial for Monday Night Raw, especially since they don't have a pay-per-view before SummerSlam.
Yeah, in fact, they don't have another brand exclusive pay-per-view until September. So
that does it for us tonight. But we are coming right back at you guys with a preview of Battleground, the SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view, the last pay-per-view, WWE pay-per-view before SummerSlam.
And we'll have Matt with us. We're trying to get Matt with us. Technology is a beautiful thing sometimes, and sometimes it's absolutely terrible. So we're going to try to have Matt with us for Battleground predictions. We're going to tape that early this week. Hope to have it out for you later this week. You're going on vacation, you lucky guy.
Coming right back here for Battleground.
Yeah, we're gonna watch Battleground. We might do a Facebook Live on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Who knows? So Battleground predictions. I'll have Sounds of Square Circle out sometime before Battleground, so look for that this week.
Some NXT musings. I think be probably a good chance before SummerSlam to.
Oh yeah, definitely. We'll catch up with NXT because they've got a lot of things going on. NXT Championship picture because we have the number one contenders match coming up soon between Killian Dane and Drew McIntyre. We got to figure out what the heck the women's division is going to be doing. because Asuka needs an opponent for SummerSlam. I mean, for NXT Takeover Brooklyn 3. So, we have a lot of things to go here. So, the content is only going to ramp up here.
Yep.
And on top of that, we got a lot of stuff because the reason why I'm wearing this shirt, we did go to WrestleMania this year, and we have a lot of content and footage from WrestleMania.
That's right.
That we did that weekend, and I'm gonna put it together in, I guess you could say, a documentary type deal.
Let's do it. And hey, if you guys were at WrestleMania, if you guys go to any events, send us your pictures, send us your comments. How can they do that?
Inside 20x20, Inside 20x20 on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Forgot, tomorrow, WWE Live here in Columbus, Georgia.
Right here in the Fountain City.
So we will be doing something we'll have some kind of content.
We'll be doing some Facebook Lives.
Yeah, so Facebook Live, Inside the 20x20, must follow for tomorrow, July 17th.
And some really special content that you're only going to see on Inside the 20x20. You got to stay tuned. Jack and I have you covered, though.
Yes, and I talked to Matt earlier today. He's also going to be working on the G1 Climax for New Japan, which starts tonight at 2 o'clock Eastern, 2 a.m. Eastern. So he's going to be following the G1 Climax for us from New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's their big tournament of the year, a star-studded field. So we'll be talking about that as well. But until our Battleground predictions later this week, until tomorrow, live from the Columbus Civic Center, Joe Ripley, Jack Patterson, we'll see you tomorrow night.
Take care, guys.
The quarter three. This race is great balls of fire.